crime. And in this case, you're writing not only about African Americans, but about low-income people generally. In the United States, murder rates, rates of infection with venereal diseases, and rates of teenage pregnancies were among the social pathologies whose steep declines were suddenly reversed in the 1960s.
African Americans are 20% more likely, according to the Office of Health and Human Services, 20% more likely to experience serious mental health problems than the general population.
The American legal system is, by design, by its very nature, by its results, it is racist. This is not happenstance. This is not someone's negligence. We didn't stumble into this, but it was always designed to marginalize a certain group of people.
Broken family structures, mental health problems, high incarceration rate. Are these issues slowly making the black community crumble? For so long we've been subjected to the stereotype of the rebellious black race, incapable of order. While we can say that the stereotype is indeed just a stereotype, we unfortunately cannot deny that some of our brothers and sisters have been morally struggling, but with due reason. A deeply rooted challenge stemming from the challenges we've had to endure throughout history. In a world seemingly against us, we must demonstrate toughness to avoid harm. But what if some of these tough behaviors are the very factors that actually dampen our well-being? It's an unfortunate cycle we need to be aware of, not only for ourselves but also for our brethren. Join us today as we go over the major factors contributing to the black struggle. Before we start, we ask if you could give this video a like and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. Your support encourages us to keep making insightful content. And with that, let's begin. Let's start by addressing the problems regarding the broken family structure of many of us in the black community. They say learning starts with the family, but what if a child's family isn't complete? Many may say that it is okay, as it does indeed depend on how the child is raised and guided, but one can't deny that it does not always turn out well for all children.
She has never been married and is raising her daughter without a man's help. She's not unusual. Today, nearly 60% of all black children are born out of wedlock. Timothy said his children are not his responsibility. He has left them to be supported by their mothers and welfare.
With that being said, what are the possible outcomes of a family without a father? Fatherlessness refers to the absence of a father figure in a child's life, often due to factors such as divorce, incarceration, or abandonment. Between 1970 and 2022, the percentage of black children residing in single-parent households with their mothers rose from 29.5% to 45.6%. The sad thing is, this breakdown of the family structure within the black community has deep historical roots, including the legacy of slavery, which often separated families. In modern times, research has also consistently shown that children growing up in father-absent homes are at a higher risk for various negative outcomes, including lower academic achievement, higher rates of delinquency and crime, increased likelihood of substance abuse, and poorer mental health outcomes. This is because without a positive male role model in the household, there is a chance that children may struggle to develop a sense of identity, self-esteem, and social skills. To further expand on this topic, research suggests that children from father-absent homes tend to have lower academic achievement compared to those from two-parent households. This disparity may be attributed to factors such as reduced parental involvement, lack of academic support and guidance, and increased instability within the household. Without a father figure to provide encouragement, structure, and role modeling, children may struggle academically and have lower educational attainment levels. Children growing up without a father in the home are also at a higher risk of engaging in bad behaviors and exhibiting conduct problems. Without a positive male role model to provide discipline, guidance, and supervision, children may be more susceptible to peer influences and involvement in risky behaviors and activities. The absence of a father figure may also contribute to feelings of abandonment and anger, which can manifest in behavioral issues. A great example of this is the 9-year-old rapper called Lil RT. At a young age, he was stripped of his innocence and childhood.
But this 6 to 9-year-old is allowed to have his video stay up. There's nothing wrong with the video that you're about to see from Lil RT. Take a listen. The lyrics that came from this song as being performed by Lil RT, the maybe 6, maybe 9-year-old. So to understand that, he is basically talking about a presumably random woman who can't hang out with him unless she's willing to perform fellatio. This is a 9-year-old. I want to be clear, as this is being debated on the internet right now, this completely saddens me. It is the destruction of Black culture. It is the destruction, therefore, of American culture, and this is what we are starting to see. His mother is promoting him on Instagram. If you think that there's a problem with this, if you think that this content should be pulled down, I do, then there's something wrong with you and you're jealous. This is a kid, and I hate to say this because we've seen so many instances of this in the media, who will end up dead, okay? He is holding dollar bills, talking about killing people. If you think that his mother is setting him on the right path, then it's because you're an idiot. Okay, you are an idiot who contributes nothing to our society. And yes, some people have realized that. Here are some other comments that have appeared under this video. Y'all shouldn't be promoting this at all. There's nothing funny about it, says one person. Another person says his parents failed him. A third person says it's sad that kids can't be kids anymore. And all of those people are correct. Now, if you're thinking, shouldn't he be in school? You would be right. Because there's this video on his Instagram page. Take a listen. So they're laughing. He obviously has taken a piece of paper. He attempts to read it and says, "What the F does this say? I'm only 9," which is to suggest, obviously, that he can't read, so he needs somebody to come read that. People are giggling and laughing. It's not funny. If you are, in fact, 9 years old, not only should you be able to read, you should be able to read chapter books, okay? You should be in the 4th grade. And the 4th grade is when I began reading Harry Potter. If you can't read a piece of paper when you are 9 years old, then your mother has failed you, the school system has failed you, this country has failed you, and you have no chance. And it's not because of you. It's honestly not this kid's fault, which is why I'm not going to sit here and make fun of him. Has everything to do with his surroundings and the crisis that I am talking about in this country.
It goes without saying that being in a broken family without a father does not always go well for the upbringing of Black kids.
You see what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I try to tell little bro, I try to help little bro as much as I can, but I'm not his father.
But why is fatherlessness such a common thing in the community? Let's figure out together the possible reason why.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so, it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
Many Black women have chosen to raise their children alone for various reasons. Black women who grew up without a father have a higher chance of choosing to build a family without one. This reason can be traced back from the time where Black families were separated from each other in history, as mentioned above. Also, Black individuals and families often face lower wages nowadays compared to their white counterparts, even when equipped with adequate qualifications such as education and experience. This wage gap can make it challenging for them to afford basic necessities and maintain a decent standard of living. Low wages can also contribute to financial stress and strain within households, which may lead to conflicts and instability. This trend was further enforced when welfare policies were enacted. In 1963, the primary welfare program in the United States was the Aid to Families with Dependent Children, or AFDC, established as part of the Social Security Act of 1935. AFDC provided financial assistance to low-income families with children, but it was criticized for various reasons, including concerns about dependency and the impact on family structures. It is often said that the structure of welfare programs, including AFDC, inadvertently incentivized single motherhood. Critics of these programs argue that the eligibility criteria and benefit structure provided more support to single-parent households, particularly those without a male breadwinner. Consequently, some Black women may have felt compelled to raise their children alone to access welfare benefits, or may have found it financially advantageous to do so. Now that we've learned that many grew up without a complete family structure, it is safe to say that this fact has a chance to affect a person negatively. One of the effects of growing up in an incomplete family structure is mental health problems. Mental Health America states that approximately 13.4% of the US population identifies as Black or African American, and among this percentage, 16% are reported to have mental illness. The total count is estimated to be over 7 million people. Despite this, Black people are far less likely to seek care. Statistics tell us that about 25% of African Americans seek mental health treatment, compared to 40% of white Americans. Unequal access to healthcare is one major contributor to this disparity. Nearly 10% of Black people in the US do not have health insurance, compared to 5.2% of non-Hispanic white people. When members of the Black community do seek mental health care, they are more likely to receive it from an emergency department than from a mental health specialist. Mental health issues can significantly impact various aspects of life for Black individuals. Untreated mental illnesses can hinder daily functioning, impair relationships, hinder academic or professional achievement, and reduce overall quality of life. Stigma surrounding mental health can further harden the impact, leading to feelings of shame, reluctance to seek help, and social isolation. Mental health issues can also intersect with other forms of discrimination and systemic inequalities, such as racism, poverty, and limited access to healthcare, making the challenges faced by Black individuals even harder. In order to combat mental health problems, some individuals have developed various coping mechanisms. These can vary widely and may include both adaptive and maladaptive strategies. Let's quickly differentiate these two. Adaptive coping mechanisms are strategies and behaviors that individuals use to effectively manage stress, regulate emotions, and navigate challenging situations in healthy and constructive ways. On the other hand, maladaptive coping mechanisms are strategies and behaviors that individuals use to manage stress and emotions in ways that are harmful, counterproductive, or ultimately making the problem worse rather than resolving them. These coping mechanisms may provide temporary relief, but often lead to negative consequences and constant distress. Here's a more detailed enumeration. The following are examples of adaptive strategies developed by individuals who are suffering with mental health issues. Seeking social support from friends, family members, or support groups is a helpful coping mechanism. Building strong social connections and accessing culturally competent mental health services provide validation, understanding, and practical assistance in managing mental health challenges. Identifying and addressing the root causes of stressors, actively seeking solutions, and taking practical steps to resolve problems also alleviate the feeling of uncertainty and anxiety. Some individuals view challenging situations in a more positive light, finding meaning or opportunities for growth, and maintaining an optimistic outlook. Unfortunately, some individuals suffering with mental health issues are using destructive coping mechanisms. Some may turn to the usage of substances as a way to cope. While this can provide temporary relief from negative emotions or thoughts, it often leads to consequences and can worsen mental health issues in the long run. Some individuals may cope with mental health issues by avoiding stressful situations, emotions, or responsibilities altogether. And while avoidance may provide temporary relief, it can reinforce feelings of helplessness and prevent individuals from effectively addressing and resolving underlying issues. What's worse is, some may engage in risky behaviors such as gambling, reckless driving, and other unsafe practices. These behaviors can be harmful to oneself and the people around. But are these enough to justify the high incarceration rate? With this, let's move on to another issue that the Black community deals with. The percentage of Black Americans residing in the general US is estimated to be 13%. But would you believe it if we told you that among all of those individuals, 37% is in prison or in jail?
Despite evidence showing how disproportionately the law is applied to African Americans across the country, the justice system continues to lock up Black men in huge numbers, and the harsh sentences haven't significantly impacted levels of crime.
The best social science research that we have shows no correlation between incarceration and crime rates. So the idea that somehow mass incarceration has led to a decline in crime, the best research that we have indicates that the two are not related.
Yes, it is important to take responsibility, but this isn't always the case. The persistent disparities in incarceration rates among individuals are known to be influenced by a combination of systemic factors, historical injustices, and biases within the criminal justice system. Let's dive deeper into how these factors contribute to the disproportionate representation of black individuals in the prison population and their influences. Historical injustices have created systemic barriers to education, employment, and economic opportunities for black individuals, contributing to cycles of poverty and crime. A great example is the enactment of the Jim Crow laws. Origins of Jim Crow laws. Jim Crow laws were a system of state and local laws enacted in the southern United States after the Reconstruction period, lasting roughly from the late 19th century to the mid-20th century. Back then, these laws were explicitly designed to enforce segregation and to reinforce white supremacy, particularly in public facilities, accommodations, transportation, and schools. With the establishment of the Jim Crow laws, black individuals were deprived of the right to vote in the United States. They had profound and long-lasting effects on the social, economic, and political activities of the country, changing the experiences and opportunities of generations of black Americans. Nowadays, racial profiling and discriminatory policing practices still disproportionately target black individuals for surveillance, stops, and arrests. Black individuals are more likely to be subjected to biased tactics such as stop and frisk, aggressive traffic stops, and use of force, even when compared to other individuals with similar behaviors or criminal histories. They are more likely to be charged with offenses, prosecuted, and sentenced to harsher penalties compared to their other counterparts for similar crimes. This disparity can be attributed to biases among prosecutors, judges, and juries, as well as mandatory minimum sentencing laws and sentencing disparities for certain offenses.
The programs of the drug war continued targeting low-income communities of color with more police, more surveillance, and eventually more incarceration under much harsher sentences.
In many previous cases, black individuals are unfairly represented among indigent defendants and face barriers to accessing quality legal representation. Public defenders often have large caseloads and limited resources, leading to inadequate representation and poor outcomes for the defendants, particularly in cases involving complex legal issues or lengthy trials. There have been cases where black communities have been over-policed and over-criminalized, leading to higher rates of arrest and incarceration for minor offenses. Broken windows policing and zero-tolerance policies disproportionately target black neighborhoods for low-level offenses such as loitering and disorderly conduct, resulting in disproportionate contact with the criminal justice system. Power dynamics tend to disadvantage people of color, including within the criminal justice system. Other individuals are more likely to receive leniency and second chances from law enforcement, prosecutors, judges, and parole boards, while the blacks are often treated with suspicion, hostility, and harshness.
The deeper question is, are we okay with something on the order of 4,000 African-American males per 100,000 being in jail? Are we okay with that? Are we okay with, there being a 1 in 3 chance for every, African-American male born in this generation of eventually doing some sort of time in prisons and in jails? Are we all right with that? And that goes to the deeper question of, are we all right with black people in the position that they are in our society? Or do we have some sort of, long-term commitment to justice?
With all these factors of unfair judgment and treatment in mind, we are not saying that black individuals don't commit crime. But what if we are trapped in a position where it's really hard to do the right thing? With that, let's talk about the factors that are affecting the general state of living for the black community. Housing discrimination has long been a significant issue. Historically, practices such as redlining systematically denied loans and insurance to people in certain neighborhoods based on race, leading to segregated housing patterns and limited access to quality housing for black people. Even today, black individuals face barriers to fair housing opportunities, including discriminatory lending practices, unequal access to affordable housing, and disparities in home ownership rates. Studies have shown that black Americans are more likely to experience housing insecurity, including eviction and homelessness, compared to other individuals living in the United States. Additionally, gentrification often displaces long-standing black communities, further exacerbating housing instability and undermining social cohesion. The most striking disparity can be found among African Americans, who represent 13% of the general population but account for 37% of people experiencing homelessness and more than 50% of homeless families with children. This imbalance has not improved over time. Black individuals experience disproportionate health disparities compared to white individuals across a range of health indicators. These disparities are influenced by a combination of social, economic, and environmental factors. Black Americans are more likely to suffer from chronic health conditions such as hypertension, diabetes, and obesity, which can be attributed to systemic inequalities, including limited access to healthcare, nutritious food, safe environments, and opportunities for physical activity. Disparities in healthcare access and quality can also contribute to poorer health outcomes for Black individuals. They are less likely to have health insurance coverage, receive preventive care, and access timely and appropriate medical treatment. Additionally, systemic racism and discrimination in healthcare settings can result in mistrust, delays in seeking care, and disparities in treatment and outcomes.
The other thing that many people don't know is that for us, on many plantations, health care was attended to by veterinarians, not by physicians. So there's been a long, deep distrust of health and the care of our people.
Black individuals often face prejudice and discrimination in various aspects of daily life, including employment, education, and public spaces. The pervasive stereotype of Black people as dangerous or threatening contributes to systemic biases and unequal treatment. This can lead to heightened levels of stress, fear, and trauma. Negative stereotypes and perceptions of Black people as threatening can impact opportunities for employment, housing, and social integration, enabling cycles of disadvantage and marginalization. Despite the challenges and obstacles that Black individuals face, it is worth noting that each day, Black individuals across the world defy the odds, break barriers, and achieve greatness in their respective fields. From various industries, the accomplishments of Black individuals is proof of the limitless possibilities that exist for those who dare to dream and work hard to turn those dreams into reality. So, to all the Black individuals out there, remember that your dreams are valid, your voice matters, and your potential is boundless. Keep pushing forward, striving for excellence, and never give up on your dreams. Despite the challenges you may face, know that you are not alone, and our community stands with you, cheering you on every step of the way.